One might depict sensuous certainty as a Midas-like figure, for whom everything that it touches, apprehends, or otherwise grasps is as good as gold, with the inevitable consequence that these riches are immediately devalued by their very abundance. The wealth of sensuous certainty is at once infinitely small and infinitely large, allowing for infinite subdivision and expansion. But is it possible to have a concrete content that is also infinite? A content for which delving in is the same as spreading out? There's something rather doubtful about this consciousness that presumes simplicity and purity, while also claiming to partake of everything at the same time. It's difficult to imagine experiencing everything without coming out a little, shall we say, jaded, ran through. And as Hegel argues, the most veritable wealth of sensuous certainty is the very poorest truth. All that glitters is not gold. As it turns out, what seemed truest, Wahrhafteste, is barely even truth, Wahrheit. This infinite realm is really more like something consciousness gestures towards than something it actually possesses in anything but the most rudimentary and immediate way. If die Sache of which Hegel speaks is to be regarded as an object, we, the observers, need to bear in mind that consciousness has no concept of what an object even is, insofar as an object is only an object for a subject capable of grasping it, and anything like subjectivity is quite a ways off from here. Die Sache is not even a thing per se, which would be much more complex. As Heidegger has demonstrated, there is a whole lot more to a thing than meets the eye, or fits squarely in the palm of the mind. Die Sache, which Hegel identifies as the truth of sensuous certainty, and is translated in this text as item, could also be translated as matter, but not like the stuff of physics or chemistry, more like the stuff of complete triviality. As in the question, what's the matter? To which the answer is so often, nothing. For consciousness, the item, die Sache, is really just a this, a pointing or an index, a vector of consciousness, or a consciousness in its simplest, abstractest form as a vector, an index of an index, a pointed at pointing. Because Hegel's never going to give us a simple definition, especially if by simple we mean static. In fact, this whole section on sensuous certainty could be read as his best attempt at simplicity. Horrifying as this may be, especially for new readers, it tells us a great deal about what Hegel means by truth, that it is never going to remain fixed or finite. It begins and ends with movement, or rather it does not end, because it is infinite, unendlich, a being for whom stasis would be death, like a rolling stone. Changing gears, Hegel describes what sensuous certainty is not, and in so doing gives us a little preview of the shapes of consciousness to come. It is not a self-developed movement of thought, though even here it's shaping up to be something like this. It's not a meaningful reasoning that considers which properties make one thing different from another, and, to state the obvious, because of its immediacy, it lacks the nuance required to mediate between complex oppositions. Before getting frustrated with sensuous certainty, we need to at least acknowledge what Hegel's been doing throughout this whole summary, setting up a kind of base camp in the most extreme and barren terrain. Even though all sensuous certainty can say is this and I, we are assembling the necessary equipment and vocabulary to track and study the migration of these items in terms of their essences, objects, truths, and relations, as they begin to mutate into something different, something singular.